Hi, and welcome to the Fireside chat. And my name is Michael Conway of Renaissance. I'm a director of Renaissance, and we're a cybersecurity and compliance distributor based in Dublin. And today I'm delighted to be joined by the CEO of Ilantus. Arun Singh is the CEO. He brings 25 plus, I'm afraid always of pluses, years of experience in running global cybersecurity businesses. And Ilantus' focus, and I love the strapline, we make identity and access management an exhilarating experience, which is fascinating in terms of tech these days. But really, what I'd just like to do is kick off, really. Ilantus is a company that we work with in the Irish marketplace. They're a global company with offices in India and the States and various other countries. I'll let Arun go through what they are, but maybe you just give us a quick introduction to Ilantus, please, Arun.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. First of all, really appreciate you having me today for this conversation. Ilantus had been in cybersecurity area since past 2 decades, and all throughout this period, they had been focused on identity and access management domain. We are currently the market leader in providing some of the latest identity and access management solutions. And we had gone through very extensive deployment of IAM technology for hundreds and thousands of customers, and all the knowledge which we gained through those implementations, that actually reflects in our product. Our flagship product, Compact Identity, which you are very, very well aware of. This product is cloud native, risk aware identity and access management solution that is the market leader in the converged IAM space. And we had also received several accolades from the leading analysts such as Gartner and KuppingerCole. So that's the little bit background about us.
Excellent. I always love a conversation with Gartner in it. We couldn't go anywhere in this industry without Gartner. But it is really interesting because we work obviously with a lot of global technologies and global technology companies. And one of the challenges we often see is they come to the marketplace with a technology and with something that they want to sell. But you came really through the whole solution space, and really that's I guess why we've enjoyed working with yourselves so much, because you actually understand the dynamics of really delivering a identity and technologies around that.
Yeah, that's correct. And if you look at in past 20 years, the IAM, the entire domain had evolved into very interesting way. People have actually created the niche product, and the entire space had been fragmented into 3 main sections. The one section is focusing on the access management, the second segment, which is focusing on identity governance and administration, and the third segment, which is on privileged access management. Right now, there is, you'll not find any single tool which actually brings all these 3 solutions on a single platform. And organizations, they definitely feel the pinch of buying multiple different products and then stitching them together to solve their IAM problem.
And that, again, that's interesting, because with the variety and breadth and depth of experience that we see out in the market, a technology which actually brings stuff together is fantastic, because some of the huge challenges we hear of them and see of them on a daily basis, I guess, are people who've deployed elements of technologies and elements of solutions, and then they're trying to pull stuff together, and it's the complete the comprehensive nature. And that's, I guess, what we like about the whole compact identity message. And you've a lovely graphic on your website, which I really like, because it pulls all the bits together.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what is the uniqueness, Michael, if you look at of the compact identity. And we have actually brought in all these components of IAM together on a single platform. And if you look at that way, how we differentiate ourselves in the market, Compact Identity is the only product in the market right now which is a true converged IAM solution. And it captures the full suite of access management, full suite of IGA that is converged on a single platform, and it can be delivered as a SaaS model. There are no other product which actually offer that level of comprehensiveness into the solution.
That's brilliant. And I see, obviously, when we think, or many people think about identity, they think about passwords and all of the wonderful things and challenges associated with those. But I see passwordless as a key focus from your perspective also.
Yes, and just last month we actually released this new functionality as a part of our access management enhancement capability. And you rightly said, Michael, that across the all the industry verticals, what we are noticing that clients are increasingly becoming aware of the inherent weaknesses of managing and maintaining the login ID password. It centralizes all the credential at a single place, which is more prone to various different kinds of attack, and also the fatigue involved in managing the so many different login ID passwords. So that led to looking at that how we can enhance the overall client experience, and the passwordless authentication solutions are one of the key into that. So just to describe a little bit more about this functionality, so we are currently using the blockchain technology to be able to provide multiple different ways of two-factor authentication, including block ID or third-party tokens or even offline authenticators. And this block ID is also available on iPhone and Android. So you imagine that now the your mobile phone is becoming the user ID and the biometric is becoming the password. What we are doing here, that by leveraging the inherent capabilities of these mobile phone, we are providing live ID, which is advanced biometric authentication, or some of the other device authentication such as touchpad or the face ID, and universal second factor authentication. So all of that is transforming the way the users are going to have the authentication experience going forward.
It's very interesting how everything has changed and evolved so quickly from, I mean, a second factor, a token, all of these wonderful things, right down into, into passwordless, and we're absolutely seeing that sort of drive, because I mean security is something that we're all very familiar with. Cyber is something we're familiar with, but over the last 12 months, I guess, and maybe for the next 6 to 12 months, gosh knows how long, pandemic, and that's changed the way people work. So identity and authentication are a real challenge in some organizations, I guess. How have things changed from your perspective in terms of all of that?
Yeah, so you very rightly said that over this, COVID had created a massive demand for, enabling each and every organization. They had to enable their workforce to work remotely. And when you look at that, what is the biggest question which comes to mind when you are enabling your workforce to work remotely is the visibility, and visibility around that who are the users who are connecting to my corporate network, and not just the users, but also the devices. And this entire visibility is getting further, muddled by the internet of things, or if you look at the bring your own devices, because when people work from home they bring their own devices, and all of that is making this visibility a big problem. So Ilantus had been focusing on right throughout this COVID period to look at that how we can actually enable the organizations to have the access certification, the full visibility around their users and the devices which are connecting to the network. But it's not limiting only to that. We had actually gone ahead to automate the entire process of joiner, leaver, mover, and not just limited to employees, contractor, but also on the devices, to be able to automate that entire process for easy administration and governance for all these users. So that had been few of our strategies, okay, which we leveraged during this pandemic period.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how a pandemic. I mean, we look back 12 months and we look forward, and we don't know how long. But even then, if we look in terms from an Irish perspective, we have now got a government work paper out there saying making remote work. So it's the National Remote Work Strategy. So remote working and probably hybrid working, I guess, are going to be here to stay. And so identity, I guess, is a core part of what that might look like over the future, I guess.
Yes, absolutely, Michael. And what we are also noticing that where people are having the too much reliance as of now on the SSL VPN technology to be able to enable the remote workforce. And already, I'm sure you might be noticing that many of the researchers, they started making this bold statement that VPN technology is dead. Because what's happening is that VPN just provides point-to-point connectivity. But what happens to those endpoints? Okay, that's totally like out of control. And then the other big problem is that there are very few VPN vendors who are dominating this entire market. And if one vulnerability is identified, it has got significant impact on the overall environment. So what we are seeing that with the emergence of some of the newer approaches like software defined perimeters, SDP per se, is becoming very popular to be able to enhance the VPN capabilities. And that's where the access management and the identity management combined with the SDP, which enables that you can actually know that, okay, who the user is, where the user is, what they are doing with this, and whether the request is legitimate or not, is actually going to transform the entire industry.
And is that one of the sort of things that sort of initiatives that Ilantus is working on post-COVID?
Yes, this is one of the key initiatives what we are working on to integrate it with SDP technologies and provide that additional value to our client. But apart from that, we are also focusing a lot on the identity analytics area. Okay, we are bringing the the static as well as dynamic risk data onto a common platform and apply the right machine learning and advanced algorithm to be able to provide the insight to our users, okay, where they can proactively identify the indicators of compromise into their environment.
Okay, so it sounds like there's plenty going on from an Ilantus perspective, and the marketplace is quite dynamic. Where do you see IAM, if you like, in today's digital landscape? Where do you see that? Is that the foundation of which it's going to be based going forward?
Yes, of course. And this is a very interesting question, Michael, that if you look at any organization as they are embarking into the journey of digital transformation, so one of the fundamental requirement of digital transformation is to align the business with the cloud and the latest technologies. And there's a question that how ready you are to be able to migrate to the cloud. One of the core component or the foundational component in this entire journey is that how you enable your users to be able to seamlessly move from on-prem to the cloud. And that's where we are seeing that identity and access management is going to play a major role. And it's not only looking at the cloud migration, but this digital transformation is also opening up multiple different new faces for IAM service provider or the technology providers. Like earlier, our problem was just to look at the employees and the contractor, but now we are seeing the entirely new space of consumer identity management. And this consumer identity and access management is a vastly different area where the issue is not managing hundreds of thousands of identities, but here we are talking about millions of identities, how we are managing that. And the issues related to how do you retain the customers who are visiting onto your website, and how do you comply with the regulations such as GDPR or CCPA. And these regulations, they mandate that you need to maintain the consent of each of these users coming onto your website. So all of that is making identity and access management as the central piece for the digital transformation. And every single digital transformation journey has got IAM as one of their core requirement, and that's where the entire experience is getting transformed.
And if you look, and it's frightening to think that we're talking about it throughout 2021, but I mean 2021 as well is well started at this stage. We'll be talking about the next 2022 next before we blink. But what would your vision and sort of roadmap be in terms of your mind, and obviously from an Ilantus perspective, you'll have your view, but just in terms of what the marketplace will look like and where you guys are going.
So marketplace, like if you look at the post-COVID, many of these leading analysts, they are predicting that identity and access management will be very high in demand. I was just reading one research report yesterday. It says that the growth is going to be 14% CAGR, which is really significant. And in next 3 years, okay, the prediction is that there will be additional 15 billion worth of investment, okay, which will be coming in IAM area. So we are all very excited and looking at that how we can be part of that journey. And for that we have created multiple different strategic initiatives to be able to participate into that. Like one of the core initiative is to look at the mid-market. Like the large enterprises, they already have some part of IAM component already in place, whether it's a fully integrated, partially integrated, but something is working. Mid-market is the fastest growing market, and many companies are there who are yet to decide that what is the right IAM tool to invest. And that's our core focus, okay, post COVID, that how we can actually accelerate the adoption of IAM into mid-market.
And I know that obviously when people talk about mid-market, it resonates well with the Irish people because we're probably a mid-market type economy, if you like. So we have a lot of medium-sized organizations. And I know one of the things that really working with yourselves with Ilantus was being key is the ability to deliver mid-market technologies in multiple different ways through managed service providers in-house and all of that. Is that core to yourselves?
Yes. So it is basically like looking at multiple different vehicles to be able to deliver our technologies. And one of the points which I highlighted earlier, the converged IAM, that is coming out very handy. The mid-market clients, they do not have the kind of budget and the revenue what the enterprise and the large organizations they have. They're always looking for a cost-effective solution to be able to address their IAM need. And that's where all-in-one converged IAM platform actually comes very handy. But to assist our clients, we are also driving multiple other innovation into our product. And I'll name a couple of them. Like we have baked in the guided help feature, okay, which is primarily to look at that, how we can make this entire administration and usage of the tool very easy for our end customer. The second area is, the connector app store. And that's a big problem for IAM adoption. Organizations, they have hundreds of applications and sometimes thousands, and integrating those applications and onboarding those apps onto the IAM platform had been always a big challenge. Apple Store type of feature that, okay, where you have connector app store actually makes this entire journey very easy. And then, on top of that, having this modern architecture, okay, where you can start with the on-prem and then move on to the cloud later, what we call containerized architectural approach, what we use, okay, that brings a lot of added feature functionality for our clients.
Well, it sounds, Arun, like with the joy and excitement of a marketplace growing at a huge CAGR with billions on tap, that the future is very bright for Ilantus, and we certainly feel that from a Renaissance and from an Irish perspective that the countries align and the technologies align, if you like, very well. And the strapline, we make identity and access management an exhilarating experience. I'm not sure about the exhilarating, but a very interesting experience for sure. I'm sorry we don't have an awful lot more time, so really I would just particularly like to thank yourself and appreciate your time coming on this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate your time as well, and look forward to talking again. Thank you.
Thank you.